Hi friends, have you ever felt stumped by stock market movements? Have you ever wondered about the different market participants and how their interactions shape the market movement? Welcome to Stock Market Shrink, where we try and make sense of the market psychology. I will use a hypnotic, boring monotone that you may or may not like, but hopefully that way you won't recognize me if we ever meet up. Statutory disclaimer: none of the following should be considered as any stock market recommendation or advice. Let me start with an example that highlights the market anomalies. On March 28, 2020, there was a news report about a Bernstein research report on Bajaj Finance. Bernstein is a well known global research firm, and Bajaj Finance is an Indian blue chip stock, as blue as they get. Only this time, Bernstein had slashed the target price of Bajaj Finance by a huge 64% to 1740, and the stock ended 9% lower at 2540 odd. Now, this was at the peak of the pandemic fears, and the stock hurtled downwards. Now, I highlight an investment made in Bajaj Finance around that time at an average price of 1960 odd. That was taken after reading this report. This was one of the tougher calls, but one that returned almost 200% in less than a year. Now, any stock purchased around that time would have given very good returns, but then this was one of the steeper falls. No doubt the research report was right, as the stock did go down to those levels. But unless the investor is tracking the stock very closely, listening to what the management says in conference calls, and also not working with borrowed funds, only then would it be possible to hold for the rise that was to come later. And in January 2021, Bernstein upgrades the stock to 7,240, a 45% upside from the levels then. So the takeaway for retail investors would be to not go blindly by published research reports, but rely on independent analysis. And this is easier said than done. But the days of GameStonk, retail is the new smart. This series of videos will try and target a collective audience that wants to understand the market psychology. It would be a collective learning experience. This is for someone with basic knowledge of stock markets. So you will know about financials, valuation ratios, basic jargon, and have an open mind towards long term investing, but don't mind using charts for timing. This is not for anyone looking to invest by borrowing or using own non surplus funds. And people who prefer a practical approach based on experience and actual live investing cases and can tolerate movie references at times. Warning before dropping such references. Because in the end, if we have all the theoretical knowledge and don't know who we are up against, we could end up holding the ball when the music stops. The players in the market are varied, but broadly can be classified as the FIIs, the DIIs, the HNIs, or the professional operators, and the retail investors. Each of them have their own rationale and the way they behave, a different psychology, so to speak. And any player having X amount to invest should be aware that everyone out there is out to get that. But then, as a professor once said, there is nothing like, say, a Cameroon winning against, say, Brazil, or at least scoring a few goals. So here is to new beginnings.